Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a beautiful painting with what I am calling the Daisies and the Bachelors. We'll be painting daisy flowers and bachelor button flowers. So, let's get started. To create my background, I'm going to be using my flat brush, and I want to kind of create a background that's indicative of other flowers in the background, but you can't really see them, so it's like a little blurred out, kind of like when you take a picture and a flower in the front is in focus and the rest of it is kind of blurry. So I'm going to wet my flat brush, and my background is I'm going to be using my apple tart green and white as the primary color. So I'm taking some of the green and some of the white, and I'm not mixing it up on here. I'm just grabbing some of each. And I'm going to use downward strokes, down and up. And I'm just going to start covering my background. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I like doing the sides to my canvases also. So as I go, I'm going to be putting the same colors that match the front. And as I'm coming down, I might put in a little pop of red here and there. And then I'll get more white and green. And I'm just going to continue these downward strokes. And I don't want to over blend it. Just want to move a couple of times in one spot and leave it. As I get down to the bottom here, I might want to put a little bit more pop of red. So I'll grab just a little touch of red. By doing that, it kind of grounds the bottom of this painting. More green and white. And I'm doing short little strokes because it'll kind of be more indicative of maybe there's grass there too. I'm just going to keep moving across the canvas. If there's other colors that you are fond of that you want to put in here, you certainly can. Maybe I'll throw in a little touch of purple. In a few spots. And if you find that your paint is not flowing very well, be sure to touch your paint to the water and bring it back down to your plate. Because if you're seeing a lot of canvas coming through and your paint is not gliding freely across it, you probably do not have enough water paint mixture on your canvas. I'm just going to finish covering this section here with the green and white. And I'll be sure to get my side over here. And I'll also do the bottom of the canvas too. Now I want to throw in a couple other little pops of red. Maybe there'll be a pop of red here. Maybe there'll be another little one there. Maybe I'll have another little pop of purple down here. Maybe there'll be another little pop of red here. And I'll pick it up and just give the bottom a little coat too. And let's check this side over here. So once I have everything covered, I'll give it kind of a once over to see if I like where I have the colors. Make sure I don't see any canvas coming through anywhere. I can just take a little water on my brush at this point and just kind of go over any areas where the canvas may be coming through. And we'll wait for this to dry. I'm going to get a little bit more red down here. So we'll wait for this to dry and we'll come back and we'll start designing. Now my background is dried and I'm going to start designing where my flowers are going to live. So I'm going to design with my round brush. So I'm going to get my round brush wet. And remember, if you haven't heard, you roll a round brush. It helps keep that nice point and it loads the brush up nicely. So I'm just going to use some of this darker green with a little bit of white just to lay out where my stems are going to be. And one thing to note, since we're doing daisies and bachelor buttons, they don't have leaves on them, so I'm just going to be doing stems. So I'm going to come across here, and I think I'll do the stems for my bachelor buttons first. So I'm going to put one here. And maybe this one will come up a little bit higher. And it doesn't matter what shade color this is yet. That one had a little bit more white, that's fine. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm just designing right now. And then maybe this one I will have come up and swing around over top of that. When you're designing a composition, you want to keep a few things in mind. You want to keep in mind, first and foremost, how the eye is going to travel. Is there flow through your painting? Will one thing lead you to the next? And here I have 1, 2, 3, so my eye is already beginning to travel. Now I'm going to rinse that off, and I will just throw in, I'm going to get some of this darker green and lighter green now, and just give this a little once over since I'm happy with where these are located. Now I want to figure out where my daisies are going to live. And I have to keep in mind that the bachelor buttons are going to be in these areas. And bachelor buttons don't necessarily have petals. They have, I'm not sure what the name is actually called, but they're not petals like a daisy is. So with that in mind, I think I'm going to put 7 daisies. So I'm going to take some white and some of this darker green. And I might add a touch of yellow to this. And I might come up and have this come way up here. And then my flower will be up here. So that's one. I think I will do another little one right here. I'm going to apply a design element, which basically means having the same type of thing but in different sizes. That is an element of design. So I'll have daisies but in different sizes. So I have 1, 2, 3, and I'll have that one turn a little bit. And I think I'll have 4 here. 5. 6. And I think I'll squeeze one right in here and bring that all the way up like that. So now I have my 3 stems for my bachelor buttons and 7 stems for my daisies. So I'm going to start with my daisies first. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get some yellow and some orange with a little touch of black. And I'm just going to come a little bit above where the top of the stem is, and I'm just going to dab just like this. So we had 1, 2, 3, get a little bit more black on there, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now for my bachelor buttons, I'll come back to these in a second. I'm going to get some black and purple, and I'm just going to put a little dot by dabbing like that. I'm going to show you how easy it is to create these petals. And since I'm using a craft paint, it's not as thick as some of the other paints. So let me just show you though how simple this is going to be. I'm going to roll my brush in the white and pick up a little bit of purple. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to touch with the tip of it and push. That's it. I'm going to roll it again, touch, push. Pick up a little bit more purple here, touch, push. Touch, push. Now this purple is going to wind up being part of the shadow underneath, because a daisy has a couple of layers of petals. I'm touching and pushing and lifting. And I'm going to go all the way around. And I'm getting more paint when I feel it is running low. Now that's the first layer. I'm going to move on to the next flower, and I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to come up here. Let me move this down a little bit. Touch, push, touch, push, touch, push, touch, push. And I'll keep moving along. And I think I have one more over here. Now I'm going to do the bachelor buttons, and I'm going to use turquoise and the purple. I'm going to roll it in there, and these petals are a little bit different. So I'm going to start by coming through the center here, and I'm going to touch and just do little bits around like this, just along that top edge. And I'm going to come down to the stem, and I'm going to do the same thing with just little touches of the brush. Get some more paint. I'm going to come up here and do the same thing. And over here. So those are our darker areas in the bachelor buttons. There are some more, so I'm going to start building up. I'm going to start from the bottom, and buttons come out. So I'm going to continue to move across like this with these touch strokes, letting that point come outward when you get towards the edges. I want to make sure I continually get more paint. And there could be one that kind of comes over like this, kind of folding over. Now I'm going to let that alone for a second. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. And we'll do the same thing over here. And if it becomes awkward, you can take your canvas and turn it, whichever angle is more comfortable. So now what we've done by having our darker colors down at the bottom is we're helping create a shadow that's going to be there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a little bit of white with it now. So I have the purple and turquoise, and I've added some white. And I might have to test this to see just how light it is. I need a little bit more of the purple and turquoise, so I'm going to come in. I just want it to be a little bit lighter, but not completely. And I'm going to come around like this, and I'm just using these touches. And notice I'm coming down into what I've done here, and it will help pull these two sections together. I'm going to roll it in the white, get more turquoise and purple, and I'm going to come over here. And one last button to do. All right, we're going to let that dry for a couple of minutes here. And I'm going to come back to the daisies. So now we need to put our next layer on for the daisies. So I'm going to rinse my brush really well. And I'm going to find a nice little section of my white that's nice and clean, and I'm going to roll it in. And I'm going to come and do the same thing I did before, but I'm going to kind of go between these petals. So I'm going to touch and push, touch and push, touch and push. Get some more paint. And give my brush a rinse. I'm going to move to the next one, roll in some fresh white. Coming between my other petals. I'm going to continue to move up. move over here. Two more to go. And we'll come up here. Now I'm going to take a look and I'm going to see if everything is looking okay. I think this one just needs to be a little bit softened because I have a few little harsh lines there. So what I'll actually do is just take a little bit of the paint from the bottom so that it helps get a little bit of a shadow there. You know, more towards the center of the flower. And I'm going to come in now with a little pop of yellow, and I just want to lighten up the top edge of the daisies. Soften this down a little bit there. One more. Okay. I'm going to take a look at my stems now again, and I just want to put some highlights on them. So I'm going to get a little bit of yellow and a little bit of the light green and a little touch of white. And I'm just going to use my round brush and just come in, and I'm going to pick one side for all of them. So I'm going to do it on the right side. Get some more paint here. Need to make that a little bit lighter and a little bit more white to that. We'll come over here and down this side. bit more of the dark green now with a touch of black. I just want to make these sides a little bit darker, and I also want to make it a little bit darker up by this underneath the flowers. Just going to pop a little bit of dark there. And let me get some of this green and black and run it down the other side. I'm not doing this with very thick paint, it's just very thin. And this will help me clean up my edges, give a little contrast to these stems. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Did you learn something? Let me know. Post it in the comments below. Oh, hey, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And don't forget to hit that old bell button. That way, you get notified when I post new videos. So, until I see you again, happy painting.